Hello and welcome to the Mindset Model Podcast. I'm Sarah Davis, your go-to confidence coach. This is the place where self-doubt gets kicked out, confidence gets turned up, and you get the tools to live the life you know you are meant for. In this podcast, we dive into real stories, mindset magic, we have guest experts, and the truth about what it really takes to live your best life. So grab your coffee, turn up the volume as we are raising our standards and stepping into the version of you who owns the room. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Mindset Model Podcast. I am so excited to have you here today. And as you can see, I have got a fantastic guest with me. I am beyond excited for this episode because I know that it's going to help so many people. So welcome to the show, Barbara Legat-Kasel. Now, Barbara is a mental fitness and resilience coach. Welcome, Barbara. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Sarah. How are you?
I'm so good, thank you. You are actually my first podcast of 2026. How does that feel?
That feels amazing. And I'm really so honored that I'm able to speak about my work or our work, which is actually
Yes.
our mutual work here. And so thank you so much for having me.
Fantastic. Lovely. So before we get started, I know that my listeners and my audience would love to know a little about you and your background. Just a bit of background as well for anybody that's listening. Barbara and I met through a very, very inspiring, powerful community. And when Barbara told me her story, which has really shaped what she's doing now, I was like, I have to have her on the podcast. So take it away, Barbara. Please tell us about your journey and what you do.
Okay, so I would love to start about Barbara in private. So I'm Barbara. I'm from Germany, actually from Bavaria. This is the northern part of Bavaria. I don't know how it is in the UK at the moment, but we are piled with snow.
Oh,
And it's
amazing. We had a little sprinkling of snow where I'm based in the Cotswolds, but now it's rain, there's a storm, it's windy. So I bet it's beautiful where you are at the moment.
it's really beautiful, but also very cold. Like we had minus 20 degrees this morning.
I can't even imagine minus 20. Do you just stand outside and it's instantly like frozen? That's what I imagine.
Well, actually, we have not had this for years now, so it's coming back a little bit. But I know this from my childhood days. It was quite normal in January that we had, yeah, those kind of weathers. Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. So that's where I'm from, where I'm living, and I'm a mother of two sons. I'm also very honored to have a beautiful stepdaughter, but I always call her my bonus daughter because I really don't like the word stepdaughter.
Bonus daughter. That's brilliant.
Yeah. And I have the most amazing thing. I have two absolutely adorable grandsons.
Ah,
One is 3 years old and the little one 2 years.
brilliant. So a beautiful family that you have there.
Yeah. So I'm very blessed with them.
Amazing. So tell us about your business, what you do, because I know that you have Aspire Academy. What does mental fitness mean to you, and how did you come into this journey?
Yeah. So this is now really basically a little bit longer story. I'm still in corporate. I'm a fashion buyer for a huge German company, and I just love this work. I love the creative work. I love fashion, so I'm kind of a fashion victim, so to say. And I've been working in the corporate environment, also in leadership positions for nearly 30 years now. Um, I
Incredible.
yeah, I started in international sales. So I was like on the selling side. I was a sales director for a German shirt company, and then I switched into the buying position, doing a lot of traveling also. I've always traveled the world for profession. I've been everywhere already. but I love this. This is the part of my job I also love the most. And yeah, but I've also experienced, all those high pressure environments, what they demand of you, especially what these positions demand from women, because there's still a difference.
Absolutely. What you've said so far, and I know that a lot of my listeners can really resonate. You are a high-powered queen, is what I would call you. And a lot of your experience in those particular leadership roles, traveling and everything like that, it can be quite demanding. And I know that so many women out there are really, wanting to grow and develop their careers, but are experiencing a little bit of hustle.
I can totally resonate with this because I've been in this loop too, and actually for a very long time. So like in my 20s, in my 30s, I just, worked my
You can
ass off,
swear
so
on
to
this
say.
podcast. You worked your butt off. You did that.
And I think this is what most women do when they really aspire for a career, and also if they maybe also would love to be a mother.
Yes.
And having these two worlds parallel to each other can be really challenging. But actually, I never questioned all of this. I was just like always on the go, 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 go. But, I never really questioned the whole system, so to say, or looked behind, but I also did not look within myself. I just started to look within myself, and also now shifting to the mental work or the mental fitness when, fate hits us very hard. I lost my firstborn son when he was only 16 years old due to suicide. And this changed everything. This changed my whole life, and this changed the whole being.
I
So
can't even imagine how that felt or what you went through. And it is just so powerful that you have turned that pain into your power and your fuel. So, anyone that's listening to this who is experiencing grief, I really hope that this podcast will, help you and give you some steps and directions on, how you can manage and cope through this pain.
I hope so too, because this is now really a mission of mine to be there for people who may have experienced a similar situation, but it may not always be such a profound and deep loss. Sarah, we all
Yeah.
experience losses, whether it's the loss of a relationship, the loss of a job, or any kind of losses, and they doing something to us. And in such situations, it is very important to have something to turn to, some tools to turn to, and especially to have people to turn to, and to have them take you by the hand and like pull you out of that a little bit, because it can overwhelm us totally. And it overwhelmed me when it happened. And it's not an easy decision to say, okay, I accept that fate as it is, and I try to live on the best I can. And I've also experienced many women, especially mothers, who then completely gave up, which I can understand because it cracks you. I mean, the whole world is shattered. The ground
Yeah.
beneath you is no longer safe. So I understand the both sides, but I'm also here to help people to really say, even such a profound loss, you can go on with a life. This is worth living. And I think this is the most important at the end of the day, that you're not just surviving, but that you really say, okay, despite of what happened to me, life is still precious. There are still things I look forward to. There are still things I I adore and I love doing, and they lift me up. Yeah, so this is very near and dear to me, to show people the way out of what losses they experienced. And of course, especially due to my experience, parents, especially mothers who lost a child, because this is really a loss. You know, it's like somebody tore your heart out. I cannot imagine another's loss that big. And also the grief does not stop even after years. So you have to handle this as well. But there are ways out of this. And I think this message is very important, that experience a loss or a trauma is not a life sentence.
That is such a profound and powerful message. And, there's a couple of things that I'd really like to dive into here. First of all, I think it's really great that you've mentioned that, a loss or a trauma, there is no comparison. Some people will experience different types of grief. Grief is grief, and it's how you manage through and having those tools and techniques as well, which is just so powerful. And, what you've created, which we will talk about throughout this podcast as well, I know will help so many people. I really want to dive into, when you were really managing this grief. And I, if anybody's listening to this at the moment that is having a particularly challenging time, how did you find juggling such a high performing role, being a fashion buyer and working in sales and traveling? How did you navigate through that?
Well, actually, the first time after we've experienced the loss of my son, Jonas, was I seeked for help.
Yes.
And I would recommend this to anyone who really experienced a trauma, because through the shock and through, the whole ups and downs, and your nervous system is in constant alert.
Yes.
You can develop the trauma into your body. So I would always seek help. Really experienced trauma therapist. I did a trauma therapy, but also for like the first, emergency time, to also seek medical help.
Yeah.
Because this in combination, I think this is only, I always tell my experience or my opinion, is important, like in the emergency time. And then I still had another son, that it was worth living on and not giving up on myself and not giving up on him, on the family. And so I had the responsibility for him. I'm a very responsible person. I always take everything on as my
Yeah.
responsibility, which is not. And maybe we can talk about this later, because
Absolutely.
actually this was also in the way in my own healing journey, because I always felt responsible for anybody else. And especially when a young person dies that way, there's also a lot of judgment from the outside. And I experienced this too. And this also does something to you. You're not having just your grief, but you also have to deal with the guilt. And I can tell you, Sarah, as a mother whose child decides to leave this world, you always feel guilty.
Yeah.
Because you all these, and I still get pretty emotional thinking back of that, because this was a very tough time, and people experiencing this now and turn to me, but I have now things to give them, and also questions to ask them, that will help them to release also this guilt a little bit, because we both know from our work,
Yeah.
that especially guilt and shame are draining our energy so much, that it's very hard to get out of this again. And I really question this now, because, and yet again, this is just my opinion, I think yet deciding about death and life is not in our hands. And even when people decide to end their lives on their own, like everybody has free will. But in most cases, like also in the case of my son, it was due to deep depression. And we actually did not know that he was suffering from severe depression. I only learned this in the letter he wrote after he already passed. So yeah, and this is something that I would say we don't have the power to decide about life and death, and also we don't have the power to heal somebody from this completely. We can support and we can guide people through, but it's really hard for me to find the right words here now. But I think, you know, there's a bigger picture. I think there's a bigger picture, and so I now am a little bit cautious, you know, with what I've learned also through this, to be a little bit more cautious when I'm judging people, because I've been judged a lot. And here we go back again. I was the working mom. Oh, you neglected your child. Oh, look, maybe you should have been there, but you know, all of this. And when you lose your child and all that shit comes to you on top of that, oh my God, this is really challenging. So this is also why I really want to be there for people experiencing the same, because I know how heavy this can be.
It's really interesting because what you've mentioned about doing, when we talk about the work that we do, we have gone inwards. And I love one of your quotes, one of your messages, which is inner fitness first. And a part of this, with the guilt and the shame, we know that this is such a low frequency and it doesn't serve anyone. And what you're trying to articulate is being the best of yourself is how you can help others. When you can shine your light for others, that is how you can be of service. And you know, as I've mentioned in the beginning, you've turned an extreme tragedy into a vessel and a service, which is going to help so many people. So just going back to the inner fitness first, what does this mean to you, inner fitness? And then I'd love to lead on to, you mentioned about the nervous system as well, because that is so important.
Yeah, so the mental or inner fitness first is like kind of my slogan, and it defines a little bit the work I do, because I also come from the competitive sports.
Wow. What does competitive sports tell us more?
Yeah, when I was young, which is now quite a while ago, I was a competitive swimmer and I loved it. So this was really part of my life. I was very committed, and just jumping into the water made me feel free and different. And I also loved competing with others. And I did that until I like the beginning of my 20s, until I had my first son. But still then I continued a little bit. But when I had my second son, like my firstborn son was more he was a poet, he was a musician, he was very into those things. But my second son is in this area like me. He's very a competitive one, and he loves sports. And then he started swimming as well. And then I was asked if I could imagine to be a coach on the pool deck, which I then did for many, many years. And I've worked with young people. And then I had the corporate world with all the competitive environment there. And at the end of the day, what I really found, we are doing a lot for our physical fitness, which is absolutely great. And I recommend sports to everyone.
Yeah.
But we go to the gym every day, but do we really do something for our mental fitness every day? Do we really do the work? Like going within, journaling, meditating, breath work, tapping, all those great tools that are available to us. But are we as consistent in doing something for our mental fitness? So I found no. I also
I
found
was
this.
going to say no. I think people are saying, oh, because there's very much that masculine energy. And when I say masculine, I don't mean manly. I mean, there's two different energies. You've got your masculine energy and your feminine energy. We, as humans, we have both. But most people are in their masculine energy of hustle, do, let's achieve, and it's very do. But a lot of us are forgetting about our feminine energy, which is going inwards, that reflecting, the meditation, the breath work. We seem to think as a society that doesn't matter. And I don't even know where that came from.
You're absolutely right, and you see this in sports, but you also see it like in the corporate world or in business in general, that everybody's just looking on, okay, what do we have to do to achieve X? So the
Yes.
sportsman looks at, how do I need to train my body? Where do I need to tweak maybe the nutrition or something? But they rarely ask, okay, what about this here? What
Yeah.
about my brain? What about my mind? So this message is very important to me, that we can only be our best if we take care of both worlds, the physical and the mental ones. No matter if we are athletes, no matter if we are mothers, no matter if we are in corporate, if we are in business, no matter where, both is very important.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And, very much like you, Barbara, I have been in the corporate industry for, I don't even know, maybe 15 years, who knows? But I've also been in very, high pressured roles. I'm still in corporate at the moment, which I absolutely love. But there is that very much right. We need to have a strategy in place to get to here, but there is not very much focus on your mental fitness. And I had a lesson last year when I got very burnt out and overwhelmed, and I was like, woo, we need to make a change to this. And being a mindset coach that I am, yes, I do the inner work, but also I wasn't really looking after my well-being and my fitness and my health. I was teaching everyone else what to do, but I was kind of neglecting myself. So, this is just a profound message that we really need to keep that consistency in those both worlds. I love this messaging.
And Sarah, that you mentioned this, and I think I know where it comes from, or I have an inkling where it comes from, because when we always talk about peak performers or peak performing, I think there's a huge misconception still behind that term, because for many it means always like working, doing, being there, showing up, working 10 hours, working 12 hours. Oh, see, I have made, I don't know, 50 hours this week. Oh, look at me, I'm a peak performer, But no. This is really a misconception. You are a peak performer when you also know when to take a step back and when to do something for your nervous system, because only then the peak performance will be sustainable, because always on the hustle, always on the run, you cannot keep forever, and it will burn you out, as you said, when you're not taking into consideration that you have to take care of your body and your mind. You will burn out very easily. And I think it's especially a trap for us women, because we always have the pressure to show up more, to do even more, and to prove ourselves. But this is, the proving ourselves. Maybe we come back later, because
Yeah.
we all know where that comes from when we do the inner work. So this is so important to take a pause and say, okay, peak performance is not merely about how many hours I work per week, but it's also what am I doing for my mental and physical fitness, because only then it will be sustainable.
Redefining peak performance. That is incredible. I love that so much. And I know from my experience and from, working with clients that are, high performing women, um, throughout my lifetime, there is an idea that peak performance is, wow, look, I've done 10,000 hours today and I've done this many emails. And it's like, that's just an idea that has been created. It's not real and it's not sustainable, as you say. So, your messaging today is redefining what peak performance is. You have to look after your inner and your outer world. So powerful. And then just to tap into the nervous system as well, because I have really been hearing about the nervous system quite a lot over the last 6 to 8 months. It's an area that not a lot of people know about, with the nervous system, with, keeping trauma, keeping that grief, and keeping things within the body. People are not realizing that having a nervous system which is reactive is causing a lot of problems. In your experience, talk to us a little bit about what you found about the nervous system and how you use it in your business.
Yeah. Actually, I also did not care at all about my nervous system.
Yeah, forget that.
Yeah, and so no wonder that we don't really think about this. So, like, I was forced to really deal with our mind and all of that stuff after my son passed, because for me, I started on a journey of really wanting to know what's our human experience, you know?
Yes.
And then you also deal with the mind. And then I started to study neuroscience and neurolinguistic programming, because I wanted to have answers. Because I'm always somebody who needs an answer.
That curiosity,
Yes.
need to know more, yet forever that expansion.
And then, okay, so the nervous system, at the end of the day, everything what we were talking about right now so far boils down to the nervous system, because whether we overwork, whether we experience trauma, this always means our nervous system is in constant alert, because we have this little thing in our brain which is called the amygdala.
Yes.
And this is the space and the area where that tells us, oh, watch out, we need to be safe. So this is our safety system, which is actually a good thing. But in former times, the amygdala was very important, because, just stepping out of the tent in, I don't know how many hundreds, thousand years ago, and there were wild animals. Okay, so there were every day, or with every step you took, was like a life threat,
Yes.
because,
You had to be on
but
constant alert back in the
constant
day.
alert, yes.
But
But
nowadays, it's
it's
different.
different. But still, when we experience things like traumas or losses, or not even that, but also if we, permanently
Worrying about things,
think,
thinking about things,
looping,
those
yes,
stories. Oh no, this bill's coming in. Oh, my friend's not talking to me, or problems, problems, problems. Does that keep the medulla? How do you say it?
the amygdala.
Amygdala. Does that keep the amygdala in constant activation?
Correct, absolutely
Ah,
correct.
okay.
Yes. So it does not always have to be the huge things, but also our, like in a relationship, oh, he's not texting. Why? Why not? What's the reason? Or I have to do this, I have to do that. Or what, all our so well-known what ifs that are always, wanting to tell us about potential dangers. All of this keeps our nervous system in constant alert. And what this also does to our bodies? Our bodies react. You get all the tensions, or
Yeah,
you get stomach pain, you get headaches.
yeah,
And so the more you stay in this state, the more damage it does to your body
yeah.
and to your mind also. And our brain, unfortunately, is not really wired to opportunities and to growth. It's only wired to safety. And we have another thing, which is called the prefrontal cortex. And whenever the nervous system is in this high alert, our space that normally is there for creativity, for clarity, for ideas, cannot operate.
So it's closed
So
off.
it's closed off, yes, because
So
when we are in this alert state of mind, you also call it the fight and flight modus, the prefrontal cortex, like our creativity system, cannot even operate. It's shut off. And this is now a short explanation, not a very deep one.
it's a good
But
explanation. It makes sense because what you're saying as well is, if you are at work, we're hustling, you are what if the emails and you're putting yourself under this pressure, you have completely shut off the area of your mind that can actually solve problems. So my next question is, how do we turn this off and regulate our nervous system?
yeah, so like above all, I say it's important to regulate the nervous system, because at the end of the day, if you have the nervous system in constant alert, you cannot grow, you cannot develop yourself, you don't get ideas, but even worse, you will burn out.
Yeah.
Just because nobody can exist with a nervous system on permanent alert. And actually, there are studies that show stress itself is not doing the real damage to us, but it's that constant alert of the nervous system.
Wow.
And this is why it's so important to regulate it. And there's many, many ways to regulate the nervous system.
What's your favorite way, Barbara? What do you do?
My favorite way is meditating and journaling.
Oh, so how does that work then how would that relax your nervous system?
First, I would like to go back a little bit,
Yeah,
because
rewind.
um, I would really love all of our listeners that it's just the way it is. And please, no judgment, no shame if you have never heard of this, if you don't have a regulated nervous system, because I didn't either. And I was also the one in permanent alert. I was the overthinker. I was always the but there are ways to get out of there. And I was also somebody who gets triggered very easily. So sometimes,
Mm.
yeah, could be even a high-tempered a person, more in my private life, not in business. I always found the control there. But now when I started this work, it was not easy for me, because I also said, I was questioning it a lot, and I said, okay, will this really help me calm down? Because when you're at that level with your overdone nervous system, how can you come down?
Yeah.
But I had a coach also who helped me doing this, and I just followed her. I said, okay, I put myself out there now. I will try it. I will give it really a try. And maybe journaling is not for everyone, or meditating is not for everyone, but there are other options. Like my favorite is really meditating. And when I really have a hard time to regulate myself, I love to do like guided meditations
Mm.
where somebody guides me through. And there's so many sources out there, free sources even, and there's so many great teachers, or so many great meditations from great teachers about the mindset work. There's so many of them, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, just to mention one of them. And I love doing his meditations, and then also journaling, because putting things to paper with your own hand, and it's very important that you're not like typing it in the computer, but doing it
Mm.
with your own hand, gives you so much clarity when you have it really on paper. And it also, this act of writing itself already contributes to calming down the nervous system.
Those are really powerful techniques. And to the listeners, with reduce it, calming down your nervous system, you can be doing things like meditation, journaling, breath work, but even just going out walking in nature. And it's really about pausing, allowing yourself to stop and B, which is really challenging for high performing people, which are constantly on the go, you are okay to stop and pause. And even if you can just do a couple of minutes at a time and build that up over a period of time, that will really help you to get better and feel better at this process as well, which absolutely fantastic. So the nervous system, really important message. I have to ask you, Barbara, as well about your book, Held by the Unseen. So you sent this to me and I cannot wait to read this, but please tell me, what is the message in this book?
The message in this book is, I have it here. This is my book.
Yay!
Actually, the core message of this book is what you can do when life challenges you, when the ground beneath your feet cracks open, like when you have nothing to cling to. And it's a story, or it's a guide from a very fear-based life, no matter what the reasons are, like experiencing trauma or also fear out of conditioning and stuff, and how you can shift it again into trust. And so
Wow.
into a life where you can trust yourself, and maybe also again life itself, or maybe even trust a higher power when you believe in a higher power, like God, universe, source, whatever you may call it. And it also deals, the first chapters are dealing with trauma. I've really won a chapter that deals with it very thoroughly and extensively. I tell my story a little bit and what I did and what I experienced. And also there are always case studies of clients of mine. And also this book is not just for reading, it's a guide. At the end of the chapters, there are questions to reflect upon and also coaching tools. A lot of tools on how you can regulate your nervous system, for example.
Incredible. So, a lot of the topics that we've spoken about today in the podcast are featured in your book. I cannot wait to read this. And just again, just talking about the trust element. And this is something that many people don't realize. A lot of my clients don't realize this as well, that we actually don't trust ourselves a lot. And building self-trust is such an important part of this journey on planet Earth, because when you have that trust within yourself, that's when you feel really empowered to make those decisions. But when you don't trust yourself, you find that you keep yourself back from opportunities, you keep yourself small, you don't feel like you're worthy or good enough. So that is an incredible message about trust.
Yeah, when you just that you mentioned this, that when you don't trust, you don't feel worthy. I would like to go back a little bit, because all this not trusting ourselves, or all this not feeling worthy enough, actually, yes, it is a trust issue, but the starting point of this is fear. And this I also deal with in my book, because fear does not only come from like a huge trauma we've experienced, but just ask yourself, we get fear messages everywhere. Like we get fear-based messages when we were brought up.
Yeah.
From our parents who, no judgment here, they did not know it otherwise.
If you don't eat your vegetables, then you won't be able to go out on the weekend. If you don't do all the lies that our parents used to tell us, just doing as their best, trying to, educate us and, discipline us in a certain way. But the fear that we used to get, oh my goodness, yeah.
So like they were playing our amygdalas. They always, at the end of the days, they wanted to protect us. But some of those messages really ingrained in us. But it was not only maybe the upbringing, it was like school or friends. Or I think in nowadays, and especially when we go down the last 5 years worldwide, also like the media is creating so much fear in us. Like look at the news. Well, I'm now in a space where I decided to watch the news once a day.
I don't watch the news. I don't watch anything like that. If there's anything important, my husband just tells me. Like, if the world's coming to an end, just let me know. But otherwise, I'm not
Even better.
interested.
This is even better because we hear so they only talk about the bad things in the
Yes,
world. And yes, there are bad things, but
of
there's a
course.
whole lot of
Yeah,
beautiful things. But who is really talking about this? Everybody's just seeing problems and, oh, maybe this will get worse, or all of this, maybe the world war starts, maybe this, maybe that. We don't know. And it does not serve us to
mm,
constantly be in a loop and asking ourselves what ifs and what ifs. And all the what ifs we ask ourselves are wired to negative things. They are not wired to positive things. So this is also something that is
really
important to mention,
interesting.
because this also affects our nervous system, those constant what ifs. And when it then goes back to self-confidence and self-worth, at the end of the day, it's acting out of fear, those questions out of fear. Okay. Also, all that comparison, also all of that that was like put on us from society, from
Yes.
the school systems, maybe like when you're more talented in that area and then you get bad grades in the other area. And we are also, we are also categorized.
Yeah.
And for many people, this boils down even to their identity. And this is where the real problem starts. And so we always act from fear. Also, like people pleasing, at the end of the
Yeah.
day, the real root cause of people pleasing is fear. Because,
Yeah. Not being liked. And if I'm not liked, then I'll get tossed out the tribe and then I'll die. And
yeah,
it's so interesting that we're having this conversation, and that's why we do the work that we do, because we're here to help people have an awareness that you don't have to live in the fear, the self-doubt, the lack of trust. You can actually choose to change your mindset and choose, what if it does work out? How could I feel better in this way? And it's about making those small changes in habits. Like you, for example, you only watch the news once a day. I don't even bother. Other things that you can be doing as well to help guide you into feeling better. Who are you surrounding yourself with? What rooms are you in? All of those little things that you can be doing to really help elevate your mindset.
and Sarah, you just mentioned the absolute magic wand
Oh,
of
what was it?
that work. It's the awareness, because the awareness
Awareness.
is
Key.
absolute
Key.
key, because otherwise we're not becoming aware of our fears, of our limitations, and then we cannot shift. So awareness is absolute key. And I think this is the main part of our work, is really to work with our clients and do awareness first. Awareness is
Absolutely.
absolute key to shift to, like I say in my book, to shift then to more trust. Because without realizing what is keeping you stuck, where are your fears, what are you telling yourself
Mm,
every day, you cannot change anything. And I
absolutely.
have experienced that not many people ask themselves these questions. They may not be easy, they may not be comfortable. And sometimes we really have to dig deep, and sometimes emotions come up that are sad or whatsoever, but we have to live through them before we can change them. And becoming aware also of our emotions and of our internal talk that we tell ourselves every day. When we're not aware how we talk to us, it can really do a lot of damage, and we just brush it off. Because how many times do we say, like when I look, something drops and oh stupid me, I forgot this
Yeah,
again. Be really, really cautious about your self-talk, or what you're feeding yourself with. As you said, what people do I surround myself? What news do I let myself consume? All of this, so important, but awareness first,
yeah,
because otherwise you cannot shift anything. And otherwise, we also cannot get into trusting us and life again. So also in my book is a huge chapter about awareness.
Fantastic. That is incredible. And finally, Barbara, where can we find you? Where can our listeners find out about you and your services?
First of all, the book is available on Amazon. It's
Fantastic.
for all different countries. And you can find me on Instagram. So my feed there is barbara.mentalfitness. My website is currently under construction, so
Cannot
this will be
wait to see
finished
your website
soon. And also, I'm also on LinkedIn under my name, Barbara Legat-Kasel. Yeah, and also per email. My email would be like, my company is called Aspire Academy at web.de.
Don't worry, everyone. I am going to put this all in the show notes where we can find Barbara. This has been an absolutely incredible episode. I want to thank you so much, Barbara, for sharing your insights, your powerful message, the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It was an absolute pleasure to be in your podcast. When we first connected, I said I really would have this as manifestation, because I think the work that we are doing is important, and it's getting more and more important because the world outside is challenging, and challenging in a way that can really drain us. And we need mindset tools. We need the mental fitness to go through all of this and to really become the best of ourselves. And I think both of us, we both want to guide our clients, especially all the women, to really become the best of themselves. And you're doing such an amazing work here. I love your content. This is also why very, very important what you're doing. And I think every one of us has a little bit different approach.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's really showing everyone how worthy they are, how much they matter, and that everyone has deserved to have a really fulfilling life, even after heavy periods in life. And this is where we would love to take those people by the hands and guide them there.
Absolutely sensational. Could not agree more. So there we have it. Thank you so much to everyone who's listened to the podcast today. And I cannot wait to see you in the next episode.